Hello everybody, welcome to episode 2 of FPL Affairs. This podcast discusses the 9-month FPL love affair, including the ins and outs that keep us awake at night. In this latest episode, we review gameweek 6, is Cole Palmer essential after his 4 goals at the weekend, Spurs assets after they won 3-0 at Old Trafford, and we also introduce our new 3-up, 3-down quiz amongst the hosts. All that's left to say is, let's get cracking.
And there's Mo Salah. There goes Haaland. He's on his way again. He's hungry. He's scored. Ice cold precision from Palmer. Kayo Saka. That is a diamond of a goal.
Hello, welcome everybody to episode 2 of FPL Affairs. How you doing, Jack?
I'm good, mate. You?
Not too bad, thank you. How you doing, Mart?
Yeah, good, thanks. You?
Mart, you all right? Apprentice?
On,
You there?
absolutely spot on. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, I'm here. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I'm here.
Excellent.
You hear me?
I'm going to say to those of you watching and listening, I hope you had a more successful game week than some of us here. But I'm definitely going to start with Mart. We finished last week you saying you were going to captain Havertz despite owning Salah and Haaland. Did you follow through with that captaincy decision?
No. Nope.
Jack, are you surprised?
I've got good reason.
Right, okay, go on then.
Because Haaland is better than Havertz, right? So, last minute, it was literally the last 10 seconds of deadline day. I literally swapped to Haaland. I thought, right, I'm doing this, is it?
Oh,
It's got to be Haaland. Everybody else is. I want to keep up with everyone. Like, Havertz is a bit of a differential pick. And then literally like 90 plus 8 minutes he scores.
yeah.
Man.
I've got. We'll take a closer look at our teams. We've got to start with yours, Mart. But you have. I gather you've got some breaking news that you're not going to tell us just yet.
I might do.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell you anything.
Just to clarify, people watching, Jack and I do not know what this breaking news is, but we spoke pre-recording. We've got a suspicion it's something to do with team selection next week.
Big. Just got to type it into his crazy ideas machine and see what comes out.
I wonder whether it is to actually captain Havertz or something. Right, I'm going to share the screen now and we will go through it. So, episode 2, this week we are talking about Cole Palmer, Tottenham Hotspur assets, trying our new quiz, Master versus the Apprentice, and some surprise differentials as to where we're going with that. Right, Mark, your team showing on the screen, talk us through it.
Go on, the boy.
I don't even know where to start. Literally, I don't because I can't really see it.
Is that selective vision? Is that selective vision? You're deliberately, oh no, I can't see it. It's
Canate's a shout though. Canate's good.
So, that's a good. I'll tell you what. If you can talk me through it, I'll tell you my reasoning. So, right.
What?
I did have Van Dijk. I did have Van Dijk to start with because I needed a Liverpool defender, but I needed the money too. So I thought, right, okay, Konate, is he going to start? He probably is because he has started under Slot. He's cheaper. I can't remember how much by, but he is. And I think he already scored this season once already. So I thought I'll just go with him. And he scores.
Yeah, it was a good header as well. So yeah,
it was. Yeah, it's just a shame he didn't get the clean sheet, but
it was his fault as well. The loss of the clean sheet as well, wasn't it?
Thank God they don't lose points for that though, making mistakes on the field. Because that could be the next thing.
Yeah. I mean, my other question about your team is Kovacic.
Yeah.
Thought
he's cheap. He's cheap and he starts. I say cheap. all I was thinking was you got De Bruyne, who's expensive, isn't he? I think he's actually injured at the moment.
Well.
Yeah, injured. Like, you look at Man City players, and he's started quite a few. I think I could be wrong. I'm literally going from memory, but I think he started the majority, if not all.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why not? Like, why not? Not many other people have him. So I thought, well, I'll go with him because he's quite cheap for a Man City midfield.
In all fairness, when they were played against Arsenal, when they were camped outside their box, he did have a few shots at goal, didn't he? So I can see your thinking behind that.
Yeah, I'm sure he's either scored or assisted already this season. I know it's only one in like 6 weeks, but I'm sure he's done something. But even if they do get a clean sheet, your midfielders get something for that, don't they? And it's
solitary.
And if he's any player in a Man City squad, you're gonna pick them, aren't you? Really, especially if they're a differential and they start. So yeah, I thought why not? But I did who did I sell for him? It was from Fulham, Pereira.
Okay.
I got rid of Pereira because we were sort of talking about him last week, and I thought actually it sounds a bit daft, like going for him. So I went with whatever he's called.
Kovacic.
Sorry, however you pronounce his name, Kovacic. Yeah, but it's a C. I would have called him Kovacic.
Yeah, with the accents above the first C, I think, or one.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's you pronounce it like a ch, as in church.
Oh,
so Kovacic.
Yeah.
Bournemouth clean sheet wiped out by Taylor Howard-Bellis.
Oh, I was fuming about that. And Howard-Bellis, I had him in my old team. Yeah, like I wildcarded this week and literally came out with less points than what I would have had.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I had that game weeks 4 and 5 after doing the game week 4 wildcard. Yeah, I had that.
But you go for the wild card, don't you? For the for the long haul, you don't go for the. It's not a free hit, so it's. It's it's been a stressful week. And,
any sort of picks that you change if you had your wild card again?
I can't really see what's on the actual.
For those that...
Sorry, go on, Matt.
Yeah, I was just saying for anyone that can't see, Mart included, or whether it's selective blanking, he's got starting 11, Flecken in goal, Konate, Gabriel, Zabani in defence, Salah, Kovacic, Semenyo and Saka in midfield, with Ndiaye of Everton, Havertz and Captain Haaland up front, which gave you a lovely total of 46 points.
2 problems that I actually had. So we were talking about this last week. I'm sure we were. Or it could have been a dream, but whatever. I did have Timber, and I'm sure he assisted.
Yeah, he did, but he's also injured.
And I also had Delap.
Yeah, that's.
I swapped Delap for that NDI, and Delap scored 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kicker. I remember seeing Delap score and thinking, I bet he wildcarded him out.
Yeah, they did.
That was the kicker.
I need to stick with my initial I even said Ipswich are going to stay up, and looking like they are at the moment.
Yeah.
We
do look. Yeah.
Very.
Yeah, we spoke about lessons learned in episode 1, and I still need to follow the following my gut more. Because I always, a lot of the time, I still too much go against it. But anyway, should we look at your team, Jack?
Please no, but okay, if you have to, I'd rather not.
Come on, Master.
Oh, yeah.
Talk us through it.
Officially, nobody
Wildcard as well
will ever listen to me again after this. No, I think I'm happy with my wildcard. To be perfectly honest with you, I had no Arsenal players going into last week. I had Jota, who I thought was going to be a problem, and obviously wouldn't have been had I not wild carded. He obviously had a good week. Same with Salah. I wanted Saka instead of Salah. I mean, that's what I mean. When it comes to a wild card, it's not a 1 week punt, like a free hit, like Mart said. It's for longevity. I mean, in goal, I've got Flecken, I've got Gabriel, who I didn't have before. I had Henderson in goal, now I've got Flecken. I kept Trent. I brought in Rico Lewis. I brought in Mbuemo. I brought in Luis Diaz. I brought in Saka. I brought in Havertz. I brought in Chris Wood. So I changed a lot.
Yeah, it's a good team.
And obviously kept Haaland and Rodgers on my bench, which you can't see. I kept Smith Rowe. And I think I brought in Wout Faes from Leicester and Mikalenko from Everton.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was just saying a minute ago, like, for example, last night, Saka and Havertz both scored against PSG.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And they kept a clean sheet against PSG.
Yeah.
So do you see what I mean? Whereas Gabriel conceded 2 against Leicester, Saka did nothing, and Havertz nicked a late one. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then
Does that tell you that the Premier League's another level?
Well, I'd like to see Leicester play PSG and see what the score is. But
or you'd like to see Leicester in the Champions League again?
Yeah. Well, yeah, again. No, I think obviously I was umming and ahhing about whether last week was the right week or whether, because when it comes to wildcarding, normally you're wildcarding under rage and like duress, and you're annoyed. So you're like, I just need to get rid of all these people. I hate them all. Whereas, do you know what I mean? Whereas last week, I didn't need to wildcard. I just didn't want to miss Arsenal players. City have a good run of fixtures, and Buemo, for example, wouldn't have got his points, and he was quite highly owned. Do you know what I mean? Henderson, although did well against Man United, had been a bit of a flop. Jota got benched the week before, so he was a worry. João Pedro was in my team. He's injured. So I had problems that were starting to sort of rear their head. So I thought I'd click the button and make the change. And to be honest with you, I was really happy with my team. And I'm really happy with my team going into this week. I think my hardest game, the one thing I'd change is probably Chris Wood, because he's got Chelsea away. But I mean, I still don't think they're very good defensively.
Would you be bench? No pun intended. Would you be benching him then?
No, I think I'm going to play him because it's either that or Smith Rowe at City. So I'm going to leave Smith Rowe on the bench and play Rodgers against Man United. And to be honest with you, the rest of the team have got great fixtures. So I'm quite happy. I've genuinely sat here like happy with my team like I was last week. It's just variables. These things happen. Like the week before, 2 weeks previously, Gabriel scored twice. Saka got an assist off both his goals. And then this week they do nothing. Jota had blanked for 2 weeks, and Diaz had been scoring. I do Jota to Diaz. Diaz blanks and Jota scores. Do you know what I mean? It's just the game. It happens. So I got a red arrow from 150k down to 500 and something k, which is not a problem, because I think I'm still like 50 points, 60 points off the top 10k.
And I think as well, Jack,
it's not a massive loss. Do you know what I mean? It's still quite tight up there at the moment, and I've still got 3 free transfers, a good wild card with good players who are, as far as I'm aware, are all fit. I heard Pep Guardiola's comments about Rico Lewis last night, that he's essentially unbelievable and can play anywhere, which probably means he'll be benched this week.
He benched Walker though, didn't he?
Yeah, but I just like this evening, for example. But he also played Vardy last night for Man City. So is he going to be benched? He played Haaland last night. Is he going to be benched? Do you know what I mean? And then tonight, he
took Haaland off though, didn't he? Quite early. At 60 minutes, he took Haaland off.
Okay, Arsenal was a better example. Saka played till like stoppage time, and then got taken off. Like he's likely to start. I just feel like this early on in the season, I'm not sure you can read too much into that. No. But no, to summarise, happy with my wild card. Variants happen, these things happen. I think you need to judge it for anybody listening that did it, and then there's a bit annoyed that they wild carded out players that scored. Give yourself a chance, give yourself a bit of time. you only get one wild card in the first 19 weeks. I've used mine in game week 6. There's still a whole another sort of, I don't know what the maths is, but at least another sort of 10, 15 rounds where to judge on whether it was the right decision. At least the next 5. Do you know what I mean? So we'll see. But hopefully it starts to go better. And I didn't die an absolute death. Thanks to Havertz.
Yeah. Well, we'll skip on to mine. Also 39 points, but I wasn't wildcarding. I took a hit, -4 hit, to bring in Saka. Mine's gone blank. Who I did bring in now? Oh yeah, Saka, Gabriel, and Mbeumo for Salah, Eze, and Rico Lewis.
You say you took a hit, didn't you? So
I took a hit. Sorry? Yeah. I took a -4 hit. Bringing in, removing Salah, Eze, and Rico Lewis, and replacing them with Saka, Gabriel, and Mbeumo.
And what did Saka, Gabriel, and Mbeumo get you overall for the -4? As in, what did they get you in total?
The transfers, they got 9 to 9, 12, 13 had been 15 before Saka got bonus points shockingly removed.
I think it's his assist, by the way. I don't know the angles I've seen. I don't think that's an own goal, but they know more than I do. I was annoyed.
But it's that sort of domino effect of funds wise. I looked at various different options, and I had to get reluctantly sell Salah in order to be able to bring in Gabriel and Mbeumo, because the form Diaz is on. I just thought I'm not selling him to try to upgrade to Saka. So I did that, and you will notice I've got a 4-5-1. That's not through personal choice. That was down to both Isaac and João Pedro being unavailable, should they say, and not playing. So Pau Torres came in off the bench. Villa.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I was just looking away in the background. My wife just showed me Duran scored. Duran scored for Villa tonight.
Off the bench again.
Surprising.
Sorry to change the topic. I just wanted to explain why I was looking over the.
He's a super sub, isn't he? He's a super sub, but he's still a sub. It's just He's
like the Sturridge, isn't he? Sturridge of Chelsea, and then he goes to Liverpool and absolutely gets injured.
Or like Giroud at Arsenal all those years ago would just come off the bench and score, and But Matt, do you think looking back with Isak and Pedro as problems, do you think your transfers would have been better off spent sorting out your forward line?
Possibly, but at the time when, because I actually took did the 3 transfers early. It was either the Sunday night or the Monday following game week 5, because I think Gabriel was going to rise and Mbeumo was going to rise. Saka was predicted to rise. I don't think he did in the end, and I would have been priced out. So I just thought, we spoke about planning last week, and I'd planned when I made my wildcard in game week 4. My plan for this week was bring in more Arsenal and Mbeumo. So it was a matter of how they'd done game week 4 and 5 to decide whether to do Mbeumo and one Arsenal or to Arsenal and go without him. In the end, I bit the bullet and thought -4, which, to be honest, looking up front, the options up front, I couldn't really decide what I wanted to do, because I would have gone Wissa, but then he was injured.
Yeah.
Havertz has been dropped deeper, and it was a sort of not as appealing. And I just thought the other forward options, I'd rather give them like another week, possibly see how they do and hope for the best. But knowing Eddie Howe, but Isak didn't.
Yeah,
didn't
I was a bit
play.
like that with Haaland last season. Just terrible.
But
did we all get red arrows then?
Yeah, I dropped from Justin's from about 1.4 million to about 2.9 million now. So a big drop.
Nearly in my
I
world.
think we all know. Yeah, I think we all know the man that caused those red arrows. The one man who absolutely had it off.
Yeah, and that man is the main source of topic, really.
Yeah.
Oh, wrong way. Not you.
Don't look at that again.
I thought you were going to say
Cole
Haaland.
Well, it's Cole Palmer after his 4 goals. We just thought we'd talk about him in a bit more depth to see, is he essential, and to do that by comparing him with the other premium midfielders. I think very, very briefly, final thought going on on reflection of the game week is, I think how well you did depended on how many of Palmer, Salah, Watkins, really those three. I think it was how many of those you had, and the more of those three you had, the more successful you were.
The bigger the green arrow. Yeah. There weren't many clean sheets this week either.
No, only Fulham, I think. And those successful ones, successful premiums, I didn't have any of them.
Yeah, let's keep talking about it, because in my team I had Robinson, who I sold. I had Salah, Jota, who I sold. I had Ollie Watkins, who I sold. So can we just stop talking about last week?
You sold Salah?
Yes, I did sell Salah. Yeah.
I did as well. It was fund reasons. Like, I think.
Was fund reasons.
Yeah, I noticed that Salah did drop in price last night.
And I also had Vardiol in my wild card the night before the deadline. I went to Rico Lewis as well. So can we just literally please stop talking about last week?
Let's talk about Palmer then.
Cole Palmer.
I'll tell you something about Palmer.
Cole Palmer. Jack, do you want to be the expert?
To be honest with you, this information I looked at last week on Wildcard, trying to compare premium midfielders, looking at Salah and his data and his fixtures. Again, it might have been a bit knee-jerky to get rid of him after a blank, or like a couple of weeks, I think, of slow points. But
yeah,
wanted to jump on some good fixtures, because Liverpool's fixtures aren't as good as a fixture swing. I sort of identified game week 6 as a fixture swing for Man City and Arsenal at the beginning of the season, before the start of the season. So which is why I didn't have any Arsenal players. And I also only had Haaland from City, because who knows who's going to start for them until at least, even by game week 6, no one's any the wiser. So I looked at Cole Palmer, I looked at Saka, obviously against Salah, as well as other players. I had a brief look at, obviously I looked at Luis Diaz, looked at, what's his name? Son, obviously he was out and some of the Tottenham midfielders, which we're obviously going to get to later. But if you just bring up that table map of all the information there, so far looking at it, it's quite clear to see that goals are obviously skewed towards Palmer, and also assists. And obviously Saka's had 5 assists and 1 goal. Salah's had 4 goals, 4 assists. Palmer's had 6 goals and 4 assists.
Saka's not really a captaincy shout, is he?
No, he's not a captaincy shout. No, I think though, again, it goes down to set pieces as well. Salah obviously doesn't take corners, but Saka does. So Saka got 2 assists 2 weeks in a row. Because I was quite pleased when I didn't have Saka that he wasn't going off. And I was almost annoyed that he got 2 assists from 2 corners. Do you know what I mean? They're the sort of assists that if they're for you, you're like, great. But if they're against you, do you know what I mean? Like he obviously they're great balls in for Gabriel, but it's unlikely a lot of the time that you're going to get assists from corners. Unless it's Arsenal, because they're just so good at set pieces, which is why I probably should have just got him in earlier. But I mean, Palmer has obviously scored 4 goals in 1 game. So before that, in the first 5 weeks, he'd only scored 2 goals.
But does that make him good? Does that make him essential?
Well, I watched the game and I watched the highlights of the game. Brighton played very much into Chelsea's hands. It was not a game where I think I can't remember. Is it Hertzler, the Brighton manager's name? I can't remember his name. He's a young bloke. I think he must have had a bit of a learning curve there this weekend at Stamford Bridge or wherever it was. Because I think he really didn't set up well enough against Chelsea. Obviously, if you look at the goals, the first goal, they give it away at the back and Jackson runs through and squares it to him. The free kick was obviously great. Do you know what I mean? And there was the other couple were good finishes. But a lot of the time, it was very much based on who they were against. And obviously, if we take those 4 goals out and you look at the data, then obviously he's almost bottom of the list for goals. Do you know what I mean? With Saka, before this weekend, do you know what I mean? And Salah was top. And then Saka's assists, which he almost got another one if the Trossard goal wasn't going to be an own goal. And then you've got to take price into consideration. Salah's obviously 12. Palmer was 10.5. He's obviously gone up now. Saka's slightly cheaper.
I think Palmer's 10.7. I think he's 10.7 now.
So I think, and also Chelsea are a mixed bag. I feel like 1 week they'll go and pump Brighton like they did, but the following week they could go and be held to like a 1-0 loss at Fulham. Do you know what I mean? They're a mixed bag.
And with and you also thinking about Palmer's stats as well, and as you were saying about Chelsea being a bit of a mixed bag, they had the 4-2 win against Brighton at the weekend, then they had that 6-2 win at Wolves, where Palmer got 3 assists. So if you look, he's got 10 goal involvements over 6 games. Yet 4 of those 6 goals were in 1 game, and 3 of those 4 assists were in another.
Yeah. So I think if you're going to spend 10.5 million on a player, although it's great over a long sample size, and maybe I'm wrong in this thinking, maybe you just sort of take the 3s and the 2s for the 16s and the 18s, and I think he was on, did he get 25 or something? But I mean, for me, Salah's had 14 shots on target in that table, and Saka and Palmer have both had 9. So Saka and Palmer have had the same amount of shots on target, right? Palmer scored 6 of them, Saka scored 1 of them. Salah's had the most on 14 and has only scored 4. So, do you know what I mean? Like you look at big chances created. There's so many variables in there to look at that I think personally the team that Saka and Salah are in are consistently going to perform week in, week out. And maybe Chelsea will do from now on. Do you know what I mean? Maybe we're overlooking Chelsea as contenders for top 4, top 6. But
also, Palmer's got young shoulders. He has. Saka's getting out of that, isn't he? But
he seems to be carrying the team when they need to be carried. And also this year, there seems to be other people chipping in. Jadon Sancho looks like a real threat on the other side.
Yeah.
He's got Jackson is finally not the biggest FPL troll ever. He seems to be sort of putting his chances away a lot more. So maybe in sort of 3 or 4 weeks, when Chelsea, if they continue this vein of form, we'll all start to realise that maybe he is really a serious option.
Well, if we look at the next 3 or 4 weeks, in a moment, just I think what's on the screen just pretty much sums up what you were saying about how Saka's very much racking up the assists rather than the goals, and how Palmer's goal, how many minutes per goal is a bit skewed because of the four goals against Wolves, and that it's tight between them. So form and fixtures. We'll look at those fixtures now.
I think it's also interesting if you add context to that table and what it would have looked like this time last week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? With the fact that you look at it now after what Palmer's just done, that if you take yourself back to even Friday night that table was made, those numbers look totally different. So it just goes to show a week can change so much. And if you're looking at the screen now, looking at the fixtures, you'll see, if again, going back to my wild card, if you go back a previous week on that fixture ticker, then you have obviously Chelsea with Brighton, Liverpool had Mart, help me out, who did Liverpool just play?
Wolves.
Yeah. And then Arsenal had Leicester. So for me, I went off Salah and I went to Saka purely for the Leicester, Southampton, Bournemouth game.
With the worst defence.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, because Leicester. I mean, I'm a Southampton fan, and I'm frightened to death of playing Arsenal this weekend because we're going to get spanked.
If João Pedro can get a goal against Arsenal, I'm sure Dibbling can't he?
Yeah, go on, Dibbling, go on, the boy. But maybe, or Harwood Belly, everyone's budget option. But yeah, I think Arsenal as well. I've almost been deemed this fixture-proof team. So, do you know what I mean? They go and draw with City. They keep clean sheets. Like I said last night at PSG, and they've kept clean sheets against much bigger teams than Chelsea. So, like I said to you, that was my reasoning. But if you look at Palmer's fixtures now, Forest is a green fixture in that. That's not a green fixture. I mean, Martin, you're a Liverpool fan. You know that Forest fixture is not a green fixture. That's wrong in my eyes.
It's completely unrealistic. You even look at Everton's fixtures they've got coming up. Like, green, like nah.
No.
Not
That's
at all.
I mean.
Even Ipswich have green coming up. Like, it's just, I don't know where they get it from.
But it always baffles me with the fixture ticker that they do 2 to 5 and it's out of 5, and why there's not a 1. So, for example, if there's 2 shades of red, which there is, there should be 2 shades of green, and the grey should be 3. Do you see what I mean? So, for me, Southampton at home, that's a 1. That's a full-on 1 for Arsenal. Whereas Forest at home, you could say is a 2. I would technically call it, if Liverpool have got Palace away and that's a 3, based on this season's results, Forest at home is a 3.
I think they're just trying to show how tough the Premier League is. Like, if a team's already relegated, then it's a 1. Like, because they're not going to try, or they might try, but away from home, I don't think they would if they're already relegated. It all depends, doesn't it? Circumstances.
Yeah. Again, for Arsenal, I wouldn't. So Liverpool, Newcastle, and Chelsea. Obviously, Liverpool at home is red, fair enough. But I think Newcastle defensively haven't been great this year. I think they've. I mean, obviously Matt will be able to help me, but I don't think he'll help you with this. Well, I think they've got away with quite a few games from what I've seen. And some of the games I've seen them in, they've not necessarily been on top in, but they've managed to sort of get results.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong, Matt. Feel free to step in if I am.
But I think the best the best Newcastle have played this season was at home to Man City at the weekend. Dan Burn nullified Haaland. Didn't do a huge amount, and I think the main thing really, as unfortunate it was that Isak was injured.
Yes.
What really took it to Man City was Anthony Gordon's press from playing centrally from centre forward. He was,
and Murphy as well, and Barnes. You just had
I
of pace.
I prefer Barnes over Gordon personally. I think, well, based on obviously his record this season so far, Barnes has just been phenomenal. I didn't. No offence, but I didn't think he were that good. I've not really followed Newcastle, but obviously when you're looking at players to buy through the FPL, I'm like, Barnes is right up there. Like, I think he's 20 something points on it.
Yeah, but so I think for Arsenal, despite Newcastle's challenges, it's not a.
Sorry, but we were talking about Palmer, and I've gone off piste.
Yeah, we've gone off the point, but look at them. I've got some looping back round to Palmer. There's some sort of key warnings really about the fixtures that as you said, Forest at home isn't exactly a green. Going through those fixtures one at a time. You've got Forest are currently the 5th best defence in the league, and that's for both expected goals conceded and expected clean sheets. Suddenly had a brain moment of what on earth does CS mean? And then the game after that, Liverpool. Liverpool are 2nd in the league for both of those statistics. Then Newcastle at home. Newcastle only conceded 1 goal to the reigning champions in game week 6, although I would certainly say, to be fair, what needs taken into account for that is that was at St James's Park, whereas Cole Palmer's got them at Stamford Bridge. Yeah. So I think he will definitely return in that game. When we played them there last season.
I think the United game looks good, but I think either side of that with Arsenal, Newcastle and Liverpool, and to some degree Forest, there are some good defences in there, very good ones. And even after that, it's Leicester, but then it's Villa. So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, is Cole Palmer great? Yeah. And will he go and get, 25 points in that Leicester game? Probably. Will he get 18 points in the United game? Probably. But is he likely to get 3 to 8 at Forest? Yeah. 2 at Liverpool, 2 at Newcastle, 2 at Arsenal? Yeah. So if you're one of those managers that's going to be okay with that, then great. But if you're not and you want that bit more consistency, for the price especially, then I guess looking at this graphic, you'd probably go for Salah. But then, again, price comes into it. For me, it's Saka. You know he's obviously going to start, same as Salah and Palmer, but you also know he's on set pieces, similar to Palmer, but not Salah. Obviously, he's got penalties.
Yeah.
But the fixtures for me, again, Newcastle away is in there for Arsenal, and Chelsea have got Newcastle at home. But I just feel like Arsenal was a better attack than Chelsea.
I don't think Palmer's essential at all. I just don't.
No, I don't think he is.
I don't think he is. I think if you had him, let's say, if you had him on a different team, a team that's not like Chelsea, a team that's actually been built over the. Let's say if Palmer actually stayed at Man City, and he actually broke into the squad. Yeah. I think he'd be unbelievable. I think he'd be just.
He'd be
phenomenal. Yeah, he would.
He'd be essential.
But the thing is, what you see with FPL is as soon as you get a player like Palmer, the same happened with Madueke. They score these goals and then suddenly they're transferred in. 100,000 transfers in, 200, 300,000 transfers in. That's like people just constantly follow the high scorers of that week. It's like
Madueke was the biggest trap ever.
It was ridiculous. It was
such
absolutely
a trap.
Like everybody went for him though, didn't they? Like straight away. Even I did.
I definitely did. Such a trap.
I think with this is where what we were saying last week about learning about planning is, and people jumping on the bandwagon, the knee jerk reaction, like with Madueke after he got the hat trick against Wolves, is people will jump on to the Cole Palmer train following the 25-point haul at the weekend. Then price goes up. He does, maybe he gets a return, but not a haul against Forest. Then, he has that difficult run of 4 fixtures, doesn't get very many points, gets transferred out by a load of people because they'll just be like, he got nothing against Liverpool, small return against Newcastle, nothing at United, for example, hypothetically speaking. And then they transfer him out. Whereas then a lot of people who are keeping an eye on fixtures and we plan may have game week 12 targeted. I mean, as a bring Cole Palmer in either game week 12, game week 13, depending on how Chelsea's fixtures are following that. So and that'll sort of be the time of some people have had enough of a few poor weeks and they're coming off him, whereas other people will then think, right, I've avoided him for that tough run, go straight on him.
I think to summarise Cole Palmer, I think if at the price he's at, if you bring him in based on his performance against Brighton, you are going to want that again and again and again.
It's another trap.
If you plan, it's most likely another trap. If you look at his performance against Brighton and you go, love that, want me a slice of that, you bring him in. He blanks at home to Forest, and blanks at Liverpool. So all you're doing is setting yourself up for a price fall and a price loss and team value loss. And
so again, is he essential?
No,
definitely not.
It's a no from me.
What are you, Mart?
And it's a no from me.
No, it's definitely not in my book. But what do I know?
A no from us, yeah, exactly. Because it all works.
Exactly.
Because we know loads after last week.
I know so much. Honestly, I can't believe The Apprentice is leading.
He got more than 10 of my players on their own altogether on his own.
I was wondering how long it'll be, Mark, before you said, the Apprentice outscored you two last week. I was wondering how long it'll be before you brought any sort of element of gloat in him. But I think Cole Palmer's definitely not worth turning your team upside down or taking a hit or something just to get him in.
No.
Or selling Mo Salah
for a hit.
Selling Mo Salah for Palmer.
Again, if that's what you want to do it, but do not take a hit for Cole Palmer. And if you are bringing in Cole Palmer, bring him in for at least 5 weeks. Don't just be messing around bringing him in and then taking him back out again, because it's just his price and everything.
Well, the next topic we're going to move on is onto worth talking is Spurs and the Spurs assets based on how they whitewashed Man United at Old Trafford 3-0.
Yeah, that was
First thoughts on Spurs, guys?
Well, I personally think it won't be a topic that needs much discussion. I think Man U were awful. They were absolutely terrible. Forget about the red card for Bruno. I just think they were awful.
I'm gonna have to agree. Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think
I couldn't go for a Spurs asset based on that.
Yeah.
Do you think then that that the talking about Spurs assets, that they may be sort of a trap, and that Man United still looking at their history, people seeing winning 3-0 at Old Trafford without taking into account the context of Fernandes got a red card and
no, I don't.
Having difficulty, and does this say how much does it? How much does it say about Spurs, or is it more about how Manchester United were?
I mean, I watched the game. I thought Spurs looked good. I watched the game and I thought Spurs looked good. And even before Fernandes was sent off, I think Gary Neville made the comment that they were a disgrace or something along those lines. That was before they went down. But that was before they went down to 10 men. So. And had Timo Werner not been Timo Werner and had been any other winger on the planet at any point ever who can just actually finish, it could have been 6-7.
Yeah.
But
It could have been.
I think Tottenham look good, but I think they look good because Man United was so bad. But I do think that it's different to the Cole Palmer situation because Tottenham do have some good fixtures coming up. So I do think that they should be looked at, and I do think that there is something that I might look to do. We've obviously got some information and some stats on the three main guys. I had Solanke in my wild card, who I took out for Havertz last minute. Not last minute, but it was between, that was my decision, whether it was going to be Rico Lewis and Havertz or Solanke and Vardiol. Obviously made the wrong call looking at last week.
2 minutes.
But no worries, mate. It was obviously the wrong call thinking about last week, but I do think going forward, Havertz is a better option than Solanke is. I think obviously we've got some information on the stats of the Tottenham midfielders. If you want to chat them up, Matt.
I looked at as we mentioned. I've got the Isak and João Pedro, and which is what I'm addressing this week. Is looking at forward transfer, and Solanke's on my shortlist, and Brennan Johnson has been on my shortlist since I took my wildcard in game week 4. I was looking at him when Spurs fixtures changed. I thought, is he going to be worth a switch in midfield? But we'll go on to those stats. Delightful Pedro Porro and Solanke. So fixtures wise, they 3 teams in the top 7 for expected goals conceded. So they've got facing some poor defences in Brighton, West Ham, Palace, Villa and Ipswich. So that again, that gives more of an implication towards the Spurs attacking players rather than the defensive players. Although Pedro Porro, have either of you had Pedro Porro this season?
No, not at all.
No, avoided. Even last season, I didn't have him much, to be fair. I looked at the start of this season, I was looking at Van de Ven because I think he was 4.5 million.
Yeah, I had Van de Ven last year.
And everyone laughed at it. I put it on the FPL group. Van de Ven is a good differential, and people laughed. And I thought, well, he's cheap. He's a Spurs player that's going to play.
I had him for a period last season as well.
It's just cheap.
And
you don't want to spend too much on defense.
He's actually the next main feature of the points. Van de Ven's currently one of the best 4.5 defenders. Hasn't gone up in price.
Oh, he's still 4.5.
He loves to move forward, as shown by that mazy run he did at the weekend, and his minutes are secured. And actually, I was surprised when reading this that over the last 3 game weeks, Pedro Porro has been a lot less attacking with 0.12 expected goal involvement, and he's 1 million more than Van de Ven. So
I think the Tottenham defence is not very good. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think they're going to keep many clean sheets. I think that's why a lot of people are just steering clear of Tottenham defence. Yeah. That's why
you might have him on the bench. If you got Van de Ven on the bench for a 4.5 million, just if someone doesn't play.
Yeah, I think with his bursting runs, he's obviously got 2 assists now this season, I think. So I think as a 4.5 million option, I think it would be a bad management to not look at it as a budget option, as maybe as a bench option, or even if he was going to play against in that Ipswich game or in that Crystal Palace game. Do you know what I mean? Because they're struggling for goals, or West Ham. If you had to play him, then play him. But I don't think he's the sort of player that I'll be sorting after to go and put in my first 11. Same with any Tottenham defender, really. The midfielders is where I'm looking.
We'll move on to that. Although briefly with the picture, our Spurs' style of play Solanke's a lot more. It was what they were missing last year without Kane and playing either Richarlison or Son up top. Is they didn't really have any sort of target man, and his Solanke's got the highest XG amongst all forwards recently.
I think what I noticed though when watching him at the weekend was obviously Timo Werner had far more chances than Dominic Solanke had, and if Son's fully fit, Son plays on that left-hand side and Son has those chances. And like I said, at that point, I feel like if Son played against Man United, he'd have probably got 2, if not a hat-trick. And we'd all be sat here talking about whether to put Son in our teams. So I do think they are skewed. And obviously Brennan Johnson as well, obviously we'll move on to the midfielders. I think they rely quite heavily on their wingers and their wide men, which obviously does play into Solanke's hands. But he got a real poacher's goal. Do you see what I mean? I'm not sure. He doesn't pass the eye test, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But the data obviously...
Solanke?
Not for me, he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? He's not getting loads of chances. Obviously, the stats say otherwise. But from what I'm seeing, it's not like he's getting cut like Werner, for example, at the weekend had like 2 or 3 one-on-ones with the goalie where he hit it straight at the goalie. If he's having those, then I guess, But he seems like a real poacher. But
maybe maybe it's the reasoning he's got the highest XG is perhaps that he's maybe not necessarily getting as many chances as other strikers, but the ones he is getting are quite big chances. So
he's
therefore,
a tapping merchant, Mart.
Was that?
He's your tapping merchant, Mart. Solanke is.
Oh, Solanke, sorry, I thought you meant me with the messaging.
No. I was
tapping merchant.
You said he is. You said Haaland last season was a tapping merchant. Solanke for me, he's obviously more than that. He's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
I don't think.
But I think
Solanke,
he is a tapping merchant.
Solanke going from Bournemouth to Spurs, I don't think it's made him any better. I don't think it's changed.
He's in a better team.
Well,
I don't even think he
injured
is.
for the first few weeks. He's missed a few weeks, hasn't he?
But
So
I just mean in general, like Spurs, I don't think are what they were. Like I say, what they were. I think they've had a very short spell of being, I say, at least half decent. But they've not really won silverware, have they? I'm not going to be one of them people that say Spurs are, But I don't know. I just think Solanke being at Spurs, I don't think it's. I think he'd do better at Liverpool, to be fair. Like, instead of going for Darwin, we could have gone for Solanke, and I think he'd have done a lot better. But I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Well, he's already been at Liverpool, hasn't he, when he was younger?
Yeah.
A very long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the options for Spurs is in the midfield, for me. I'm looking at the midfield. So Maddison, Johnson, Kulusevski, Son. I mean, if Timo
Werner
could
Son.
If Timo Werner could finish, he'd be like, do you know what I mean? He'd have probably scored similar to Palmer this week, and we'd all be talking about whether he's a good budget option.
Yeah.
But no, I think obviously Brennan Johnson had a great game with his goal. It was quite nice to see his dad smiling about it as well. But for me, Kulusevski looks great. Again, he's going to be skewed to assists. He does like to get central, and he does like to obviously take some. He does score goals. For me, Brennan Johnson he's going to frustrate you as an owner, in my opinion. I think he'll have a lot of chances. He won't take all of them. Do you know what I mean? There are players that are better finishers than him at that price. But again, if you want to weigh into Spurs that's cheap, then they're all a viable option. If I was to choose one right now, I would probably say I would go for Kulusevski, because I think he offers a bit more balance with goals and assists. Maddison, for me, is one of those players that, if you watch the game, runs the game, was unbelievable against Man United, but none of it transferred into FPL points, unfortunately, or real FPL points.
I can't remember the exact stats. I heard this the other day, and I don't want to get skew but when Leicester got relegated last time, and they sold Maddison to Spurs and Harvey Barnes to Newcastle, since then and both of them have had injury problems. Harvey Barnes has actually got more goal involvements than Maddison in less game time, which, and that's goals and assists, I think. Yeah, combined. But anyway, that's going off the point. Bringing in Newcastle, it was more a sort of emphasis that Maddison is potentially. Yes, he runs the game. But,
yeah. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but he doesn't necessarily get as many returns as justified, and it's sort of where I think he's been put as he started playing a bit deeper.
Well, they've got Bentancur in there as well now, who Ange obviously really likes, and the previous managers he had played as a bit of a number 10. If anything, he was a bit of a challenger for Maddison for his spot in the team. But if we just go through the information you got on this slide, Matt, I think, like it says there, Kulusevski and Maddison's minutes are more secure than Johnson. Although I would say his best front three is going to be Son, Solanke and Johnson. I don't see anybody else. I don't see Richarlison coming back into that. I don't see Werner taking his thing. There's that Odebear player, the young lad. I don't see him. I think that's their front three with Kulusevski and Maddison probably behind. But Kulusevski can play on the right. But I expect to see the same team that played. Their best 11 will probably be a similar team to the one that played on the weekend against United. Maybe with Son instead of Werner, and probably Basuma instead of Bentancur or Sarr.
Yeah, but, I've just added on the set piece info that Maddison's on free kicks and Kulu and Kulusevski and Maddison are on corner duties.
Porro does also take corners, I think. I think Porro takes some free kicks and does take some corners. I also feel like vaguely Son takes corners as well.
Do you want to give us that breaking news then before you leave?
The breaking news, yeah. Yeah, go on then. So I'm going to go without Salah and Haaland for the rest of the season.
Wow. We're going to hold you to that.
That's fine. That's fine. I just think, I'm not saying there's better players out there, but I think if you can free up the money for good options at the time, then I think why not? I mean, as long as I beat my 7 million rank from last season, then I think that's a success.
That's progress. Well, we'll try. Right. Okay. Well, anyway, last main points about Spurs really was average expected assists the last 3 game weeks. Maddison 0.5, Kulu 0.2 and Johnson 0.09. Average expected goals over that period, Johnson's the highest with 0.57. Maddison just behind on 0.46 and Kulu lowest down on 0.32. Maddison's the best attacking threat and also has the most secured minutes, but he's 7.5 million and choice. I think Johnson's 6.4 and Kulu's the cheapest at 6.2, so the most affordable if you're looking for a budget way into the Spurs side. Okay, the quiz, which I very creatively, or not creatively, called 3 green, 3 red, where each question it's either 3 green options or it will be 3 red options. So you both ready for this, or all three? Three?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Mart, you ready?
I think so.
Okay, right. Question 1. At the time of recording, who are the 3 most popular transfers in this game week?
Do we just shout out, or do we have to?
Yeah. Jack, you go first on this question.
Kanate.
So you're going Kanate. Who else?
For me, or for?
Go on, go, Mark. Do you want me to name 3?
Yeah, Jack. If you do 3 and Mart does 3, and we'll compare the answers.
Obviously, Palmer, Kanate, and McNeil.
Okay, Mart.
Diaz. Mbomo.
You can say
Solanke.
the same as me.
Yeah, they don't have to be three completely
I
different.
thought they had to be different.
No,
They have to be different.
I've gone for it anyway.
no,
Same.
sorry.
Diaz and Mbomo.
Blame the host for not explaining the rules.
Oh, what?
Yeah, who do you think the three most popular transfer in are going to be?
Palmer first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So you're going with Palmer first. Who else?
McNeil second, yeah. And
And
Mbomo second? Or Mbomo third? Or Diaz?
Yeah. You going
So
Diaz
what-
or Mbuemo?
Yeah.
Palmer. So yours, Palmer, Diaz, and Burmo. Is that right?
Palmer, Diaz, and Mbomo, yeah. Yeah, go for that.
Okay.
Why not?
Let's go.
And Jack, you were Canate, Palmer, and
McNeil.
Right. I will
like the
certainly
Canate
say
one's wrong.
I'm going to go with Cole Palmer for sure. Who did well at the weekend? I may take a punt at Solanke being one of those, as we spoke about Spurs. And so Palmer, Solanke.
Just trying to think who's due a price rise.
I think actually, bearing in mind I've got problems in the forward line, I'm going to say Ollie Watkins is my third.
Oh, I forgot about him. Oh, I wish. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'd have had him over Canate. But go on. Sorry, that's your answer.
Okay.
What's the answer?
Right. So, well, the answers will come back because I thought if the answers were on the same slide, then I'd see the answers first, so I wouldn't be able to join in. So all the answers are together on the same slide later on. Right. So we'll hold our heads to that.
Don't hold my bedside money later, please.
Question 2. So at the time of the recording, who are the three most popular transfers out? So three Reds.
Mo Salah.
Yeah, Salah.
Yeah.
Salah's in mine.
Yeah.
Who are your other two, Mark?
Okay, I'm going to go with that. So I'll go with Mo Salah. I'll go with... who's been terrible? This is actually quite tough, isn't it? Transfers out are quite tough. You don't think of who's been really bad.
Yeah.
But it could be injuries as well. It could be injuries. It's not just who's been bad.
De Bruyne.
It might be injury.
De Bruyne. Probably a terrible one, that.
Who knows? I'm actually sorry if there's a fiddling sound. I thought I've got post-its to hand, and then I'll scribble down people's answers. So we hopefully don't go against it. So who do you think, Jack, for transfers out?
I think João Pedro.
Oh,
yeah.
I think Mo Salah, and I think people are going to have to free up money for Palmer, aren't they? So they probably would do it with Salah. But then who else would they do it with?
Salah is. I'm 100% sure of Salah.
Yeah, Salah is, because he's got.
100%.
I think he's dropped in price. I think he's dropped
200,000 sells. Yeah, 200,000 people sold him.
I would hang my hat on João Pedro and Salah, and then the only other one I can think of is probably Isak, because people kept him rather than.
Yeah, I forgot about buying in Welbeck. I think a lot of people have bought Welbeck, haven't they, in replacement of João Pedro and Calvert-Lewin.
I feel like that was maybe last week. But go on, what are you, Matt?
Yeah,
those are my three.
For transfers out, yeah, Salah. I may, because just because of the Palmer train, this is a bit of an out there. I might actually go with Saka as being one of them.
I'm going to change mine. Can I have Madueke?
What as a going out?
Yeah.
No, bring it in.
No, not bring it in. No, going out. I think Madueke has been sold a lot this week. I know
So who are you changing then out of JP and Isak?
Isak to what's his name? Madueke. Probably better.
I think Isak was already gone a long time ago, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at.
Just gradually. Sorry, my mind's going back to who we actually said for the three coming in for the green arrows. Jack, you said Palmer, Konate, and
McNeil.
I said Palmer, Diaz, and Bomo. I actually said Solanke, but Solanke just Palmer, Diaz, and Bomo.
Yeah,
that was my final.
Transfers out. Wheels, Mart. You said Salah as well.
Yeah, God, I can't remember now. Salah, De Bruyne for some reason. I don't even think he was highly owned anyway, but
yeah. And last one.
Just want to go to bed.
Yeah, last one.
So tired. Last one. Sell it. Oh, God. I have no idea. Sterling. No, I'll tell you what. Let me do a serious one. I'm just going to go with Watkins as actually get selling out.
Right. And I'm going with Salah, Saka. Who else did?
I swear you just listed him as. Oh no, Matt just listed him as players in. You're so tired.
I'm gonna have to try to rush quick one of sales. I've just thought of another one to actually possibly come in. I'm going to stick with João Pedro. I'm going to copy you and say João Pedro.
Yeah.
Right. So question 3. Someone asked in the group about goalkeepers to bring in. So question 3. Who do you think are the top 3 goalkeepers to own right now? I think this is probably one of the easiest ones.
That's easy because I own 2 of them. Flecken and
Sells.
Mart,
you shoot.
Yeah, Flecken and Sells. That's and then I'd go with the Chelsea keeper, Sanchez.
Yeah, so I wouldn't. I'd go Raya. I'd have Raya in there. And then I'd have Raya in there because, in my opinion, he's the best keeper in the game. It depends on budget. I mean, do you know what I mean? But yeah, I'd probably go with Flecken and Sells after that. Flecken then Sells. Personal.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same with Raya and Flecken. I think those two are fairly common. Raya set and forget, and Flecken for their Brentford fixtures.
If you've got the money, and you're okay with just having 2 Arsenal outfielders, I wasn't. I wanted Havertz, so therefore, do you know what I mean? I went with Gabriel and Saka. Then I think Raya is your best shout. Because I just feel like I know they just conceded 2 to Leicester, but I do think that he's the best goalkeeper in the game for his price. And had he been 100% nailed on fit, I would have gone him over Flecken probably. But if you don't have the money, for me it's Flecken second, because Forest have tougher fixtures for less. They have similar fixtures to Brentford, but for less time.
I'm going to. For my as I've said Flecken like both of you, and I've said Raya like you, I'm going to go a bit mini rogue and taking a focus on fixtures, and I'm going to say I'm going to put down Pickford because Everton have got good fixtures.
Good call. I looked at him on my wild card.
I just don't understand how a relegation team is so good for having good for keepers. Like.
It's also good for saves.
That's fair enough. The saves is fine, yeah. But like when people are choosing like what's he called? Everton. I've picked him myself, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite here. But what's he called? Everton defender. I'm tired. No, I just don't. I just basically what I'm saying is I just wouldn't trust an Everton defence at all. Like they're not a good side.
Saying, but they haven't had Branthwaite and they've not had Mikalenko fit, and I don't care what anybody says. Michael King is just not a good centre back. So I just feel like I feel like they you can't judge them defensively. Obviously, last season they were very good defensively, not at the start of the season, but towards the end. But they haven't had their best back four, and I do think that they'll be a lot better with Branthwaite next to Tarkowski and with Mikalenko at left back. I think they really miss them too.
Oh yeah, when they do come back, then yes, like we can talk about defence. But right now, like I don't know, I just like you say they're just without Branthwaite, and they're nothing.
So I'm guessing
Tarkowski.
I'm guessing from what you've sorry, Mart. I'm guessing from what you've said then for the next question, which is the top 3 goalkeepers to avoid. I'm guessing, Mart, your first name you're going to say is Pickford. From what you've just been saying about Everton.
I've got to back myself up now, haven't I? No, I just wouldn't buy him and I wouldn't avoid him. Can you do either of them two? Like, God, honestly, I'm like half asleep. Right.
No,
okay.
I guess you would ignore Pickford.
Just ignore him. Just ignore him. Just ignore him.
I think those 3 goalkeepers for me would be Ramsdale at Southampton, because we haven't kept a clean sheet in something like 19 games going back to the Championship. So I don't see us as a very good defensive side. I would say the Ipswich goalkeeper. I think his name's Muric. He was also at Burnley last year. I again saw him against Southampton last weekend. I don't think they're that good. The other one I would have is Areola. I feel like West Ham defensively this season look really poor. Poor. I think they look poor. I'd avoid West Ham full stop, to be honest.
Not as bad as Fabianski that's been on the bench the whole time.
Yeah, but playing goalkeepers, those are my 3 avoids, I think.
What were yours, Mark?
Well, what were yours, Mark? I'll go against the grain just because of the kind of controversial person I am. I'd actually avoid Edison.
Yeah.
I'd
he's
avoid
on my
him.
list.
I just don't think he's really that. He's nothing special.
He's on my list.
I'll go with Fabianski if you want to class him as a playing keeper, but if not, then I'll go for the Areola. And then as my third choice, I think any of the relegation teams.
Just say like, Ramsdale, because Southampton is so bad defensively.
Yeah.
So you're going Edison, Areola, and Ramsdale.
Yeah. And that'll be me then.
I'll
you can let me know.
I agree with Ramsdale, Edison as well, because Man City always seem to leak 1 goal, and Edison, as good as shot stopper he is, he doesn't necessarily make a huge volume of saves to rack up the save points. So I've got Ramsdale down, Edison down, and who are leaking goals for fun at the moment. Right. Ramsdale, Edison, and Areola is a good call, but I don't want to seem a copycat then.
No, it's all right. It's fine to say it though. People are asking our opinion, and if we both agree on the same thing, then obviously it just cements that opinion a little bit more.
But then, I
can't think of anybody else. Maybe Henderson. I guess he's obviously had a poor start. He had a good game against Man United, but other than that, he's been poor.
Is Sarr still playing in goal for Wolves?
No, it's Johnston. And to be fair, he is probably a massive avoid. He is a calamity in there at the moment for them. I was watching him try and play out from the back, he looks so out of his depth. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I was thinking Wolves keeper, and that's so. Yeah, thanks for helping me out with the Johnston. Right,
that's right, mate.
Question 5. 3 teams top of the fixture ticker.
It depends what for. But I would probably put City, Arsenal, and Brentford.
City, Arsenal, Brentford.
Yeah.
And also, actually, it sort of depends on how long, for longevity. Which, like, is it over the next 3 weeks? Is it over the next 5 weeks?
Yeah, and it also depends whether it's like goals for, goals conceded, defence, attack. Do you know what I mean? If it's overall, maybe Liverpool are in there and not Brentford. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, those are the 3 teams that I targeted on wildcard anyway.
Yeah, I targeted Arsenal and Brentford, so I'd be saying them as well. And also, really, when looking at City's fixtures, starting with Fulham, it's just a sea of green.
Yeah.
So I agree with those. I think City, Arsenal, Brentford for those top. What about final question? 3 teams bottom of the fixture, so teams to avoid.
Who's got a really tough run? I think Wolves have got a really tough run coming up. No, Southampton. Southampton play Arsenal this weekend, Leicester next weekend, then City the weekend after that. So they're in there. They've got to be in there just based on the fact that they play Arsenal and City in the next 3. I was looking at the fixture ticker the other day for wildcard, but again, there are teams that I didn't really look at. Do you know what I mean? Like I didn't look at Ipswich's fixtures. Leicester have got good fixtures. I know that. I would probably put Southampton in there. I would put Crystal Palace in there, although that's a stab in the dark. I just know that I came off Eze for a good reason. And I would put Wolves in there because I was looking at Wolves and I think their fixtures swing a little bit later down the line.
So you're going Wolves, Southampton and
Palace. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, I'll probably put them there.
Well, this is going to be the difference one. I've put Southampton as well, but I've gone with Bournemouth and Chelsea. Because Chelsea will look at that bit of a rough patch, and I think Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth. When I brought in Semenyo, I noticed they had a few green, but then they had some.
That's such a good shout. That's why I didn't
really
bring in
tricky
Semenyo.
ones.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bring in Semenyo. I thought after the Southampton game, I think they've got some tough fixtures.
I think they've maybe got one more nice one, and then they've got some. Like possibly no. Have they had Liverpool away? Or is that coming up?
I think they've got City or something ridiculous. Yeah, I think they're part of City's nice fixture run. They've obviously got Arsenal up next week.
Yeah.
So I think I probably would have gone Bournemouth as well, but I'll stick with what I've got.
Right.
Are we got the answers?
Yeah, Arsenal. Right. So Whoa. Okay, that's surprising. Transfers in Cole Palmer, not surprisingly, and Mbeumo, and Nicholas Jackson is third most transfers in.
Yeah.
So we all got Palmer. I only got Palmer. What a shame! What a shame! Mart's gone to bed. He got 2 out of the 3.
Yeah.
And then transfers.
Isak as well.
Oh, you changed. You had 2 of those. You put down João Pedro. We both got João Pedro. You put down Isak, but then changed it to Madueke, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know why. Looking back, it was a bad idea. But yeah. So we managed to get all of them apart from Nick Jackson between us, didn't we? I think.
Yeah. And Eze for taking out. And Eze for going out.
So surprised that Ramsdale isn't in there.
Yeah. So best goalkeepers to own: Raya.
Yeah, I said Raya.
Fabianski is probably only there because he's a 4 million option. I think when people were first looking at combos, Areola was suspected to be injured, so that's probably why people rushed for myself
Mart got
included.
2 of those again, didn't he? Because he had Fabianski and Pickford. So again, he got those, and you said Johnston.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, as the goalkeepers.
What's the fixture ticker one?
I've only, this is me being a numpty, I've only just noticed the spacing that the goalkeepers to avoid section, that best goalkeeper to own, it's only got down Raya. So whoever, I'll be chasing up Mohamed to say, what about the other 2 options?
Yeah.
But yeah, Fabianski Mark got initially, didn't he? Pickford.
I've jumped ahead.
I was
anyway.
the opposite end.
I'm looking at the fixture ticker answer.
Oh yeah, top 3 fixture tickers: City, Brentford, and Everton.
Yeah, Everton have got some good fixtures. That's why a lot of people have gone for Calvert-Lewin.
Just thinking back to what I said though, is I said Pickford as my 3rd best goalkeeper option because of their fixtures. So why did I not say Everton for top 3 in the fixture ticker?
Yeah, well, I think it's quite interesting that Pickford is one of the worst goalkeepers to own, but also they're in the top 3 for the fixture ticker. So those that do own him obviously have had a really tough start to the year, but there may be, pardon the pun, greener pastures ahead. But again, worst 3 teams on the fixture ticker: Southampton and Bournemouth. We knew that. So again, Southampton fixtures are really tough. Nobody really has any of the options. I think Diblin went up in price, but he's just a budget enabler. Obviously, Harwood-Bellerin. Bournemouth, this is why I didn't go for Semenyo. Obviously, the egg was on my face when he scored on Monday night, but just don't see the longevity in that pick at all. And again, Brighton, they've obviously just had Chelsea, and their fixtures are pretty poor.
Yeah. They sort of go from an okay home one to a terrible away one. They're sort of very much a good, bad sort of thing. Anyway, after that quiz, we'll see what comes up for that next week. Finally, quick differential option of the week. We've each picked our own. Mart picked Wolves striker Jorgen Strand Larsen, who's 1% owned. Your pick?
So my pick's Martinelli. And it's funny that your pick's Leandro Trossard. So Martinelli for me is a player that I've had in previous seasons and haven't had since they signed Leandro Trossard, based on the chance of him being dropped for Trossard. And that has happened plenty of times. I very nearly included him in my wild card instead of Saka. Again, I know, like, this whole video I've said I nearly did this and did that, but I did genuinely consider him as an option. But Saka's just obviously for me a better option. With Trossard playing deeper now that Odegaard's out injured, it just nails the Martinelli that little bit more. And the way that he's played, obviously the City result is a bit of a skew because they went down to 10 men. But the way that he played at the weekend, I thought he looked very good. And you could say the same about Trossard. I mean, they're both very similar. And obviously owned by Leicester. The brief that we got for our picks was under 5% owned. So all these players are obviously under 5.
Yeah. Trossard at 2.1% and Martinelli at 3.2%. So yeah, I think with the fixtures, as soon as you saw yours at Martinelli, I was like, oh, that's a peach of a differential with Southampton coming up. So I thought, right, looked at the fixtures, and I just thought I've just kept being drawn to Arsenal. So it was then thinking, right, what's the ownership on there?
Yeah, I think it's priced as well. You've got 2 attacking Arsenal players for cheap that are pretty nailed. Do you know what I mean? Like, Trossard started a few games now. Martinelli started, so I think they're both pretty nailed whilst Odegaard's out. It'd be interesting to see when he comes back who isn't. I think going to Mart's pick, you've got a budget forward there playing for Wolves, but we did talk about they're
Wolves
just
fixtures.
not the fixtures. They're just not an informed team at the moment, and he does look okay. Don't get me wrong. And Wolves didn't look too bad against Liverpool when I watched them at the weekend. I think Lemina's obviously a very good player. Probably won't transfer into FPL points. We had him at Saints, but he looked very good at the weekend. I don't think that's one I'd hang my hat on. I think even I obviously noticed it after we spoke, but Phil Foden's currently only owned by 5% of the game. Scored last night. Looks like he's back fit. Most likely going to be a major part in whatever City do moving forward with a great run of fixtures. I think he could be a great move. I might even bring him in this week.
Phil Foden.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it, but I'm going to have to make 2 transfers. I've got 3 free ones, so I'm okay, but I'm going to have to downgrade somewhere else. But it's just a bit much of a swing. I'd like to see him start first.
I've already made my transfer for the weekend. I was going to sort of do that. Just for plans for the next week. I'll put up on the slide where to find us.
Yeah.
For those of you that are watching, but plans for next weekend. Yeah, finishing that off. As I said, I needed to address my forward lineup with Isak and João Pedro, and I was weighing up what's covered tonight. My main shortlist really was I can't go Havertz because I've tripled up on Arsenal with Raya and Gabriel and Saka. And my main ones were looking at Solanke with the fixtures, Ollie Watkins, and I also did look into Delap of Ipswich. Because what I found tricky was about looking at the budget requirements and whether to take Isak out or whether to take João Pedro out.
Yeah.
And in the end, I went with Watkins. And the reason I went with Watkins was
I think that's the right decision for what as well.
And the reason I did was Solanke would enable me to get a third forward, upgrade João Pedro to a more pricier forward maybe next week. But I thought what really hurt me this week was the ownership and returns for the premiums of Palmer, Salah, and Watkins, and I haven't got any of them. And I just thought, right, well, I thought I'm going to go with the defensive transfer, so to speak, by getting Watkins in, because at least then if Watkins hauls, I won't be hurt badly again in back-to-back weeks. And he's got nicer fixtures certainly over the next 3 than Solanke. And his next one's Man United at Villa Park. So
I think that's out of the 3. That's probably the call I would have made. I don't know what I'm doing this week. I genuinely could do a number of 4 or 5 different things. I could even roll at this point. I think that's a good place to leave it. Obviously, tune in next week to find out what crazy ideas Martin had, what I did, how Matt got on with Watkins, and if you see on the screen, if you want more content and you want to see where we're at, or also, obviously, Matt, you can say this bit, but we would like to answer your questions.
Yeah. So what we spoke about tonight, we've sort of had bits of our own ideas, but also what people have put in comments and in the social media section. So if you find us at one of the links above and put in the comments if there's anything in particular you want us to talk about next week, then to do that clearly, and we'll get our research team to research those so we can get some in-depth analysis of those topics.
Yeah, shout out to the research team, Kieran and Mohammed, for all their work on those slides, and obviously Matt, the illustrious host, and Martin.
Yeah, fine-tuning. So, yeah, everybody, thank you for putting up with us for what is nearly an hour and a half.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. It really makes a massive difference. And all I think I'm going to say now is keep your final FPL affairs under wraps. See you
Good
later.
night.
All right, bye, Jack.
Bye, mate.
I've decided this week I'm going to be selling Mo Salah and Erling Haaland in hopes of going for some decent differential picks. It's going to fail completely, but I'll give it a go.